Hey, what's up everyone? It's Jeremy Steiner here, and today I've got a brand new episode of my Watch Me Work video series, episode 2. Hard to believe we're already on episode 2 already. And today we are creating this mossy ground texture in Substance Designer. We're going to create it from scratch. I'm literally going to start from the very beginning and go all the way to the end and take you through the whole process. Now, this is not a tutorial series, like I said in my last video, so I'm not going to be explaining every single thing that I'm doing. I'm going to be sort of narrating my thoughts, and there'll be some problem solving and some mistakes along the way, but that's the whole point of the creative process. So we're going to create this texture from scratch. I really hope you enjoy this video, and thanks for watching. Let's get started.
Okay, so let's get started then. So, we're in a new program, we're in Substance Designer. You see, I've got some reference here, and I'm going to try and make this mossy ground texture that I'm going to be using for one of my tutorials. So I've got this kind of moss, with some pebbly pinecone ground thing here, and then I've got some more pebbles here. It's going for like a mossy thing, but I think I'm going to add a little more dirt into the mix, so that's why I have this image here. We've got their pebbles, we've got the moss, small pebbles, and here's more of that dirt that I'm looking for. So let's make a new substance here, and I'm going to call this mossy ground. I'm going to make it 2K, and we're going to do the physically based metallic roughness template. Okay, click OK. Okay. So let's do a little bit of setup here. I'm going to start with a base material node, and I'm going to put that in the viewport. And you see I'm going to go a lot faster than I did last time because I don't want this video to be too long. And while this is technically not a tutorial, so I can go faster. All right, let's move our light around, that's better. Okay, so I'm going to want to use my normal, height, and ambient occlusion inputs. And I'm going to start off with a Perlin noise. I'm going to take this down to about 4. And I'm automatically going to plug this into my height in order to start seeing some stuff. I'm going to get my normal node, set it to 24. Whoop, nope, 24. So we can start seeing some things. And then my ambient occlusion node from the height. Boom, there we go. We've got something happening. So I'm going to take this all the way over here because I know I'm going to need all the space I can get. And to start off with, I want to sort of break up the ground a little bit. I want to make some dirt-like textures. So let's take a look at some of my noises here. Let's take a clouds 2 and a clouds 3, and let's blend these together. Start with the clouds 2 on the bottom, 3 on the bottom, and I want to see what's happening here, so let's put that into my, actually we'll shift click and just see what's going on. Wow, that's interesting. Seems a bit intense. But that's alright, because what we're going to do, I'm actually going to put these back and blend these together. Put this on the bottom, this on the top, and then publish that out. So let's really dial back our opacity a lot. Like a lot. see what's going on here. Bring the scale up and see what that does. How about this guy? Okay, that guy's really adjusting the scale of the dirt. Interesting. Okay. So we've got no blending, that's why. Okay. So we've got a little bit of texture happening. Let's just fiddle with what kind of texture I'm going for here. Let's bring it up a little. Okay, so we've got like a sort of rough ground. Okay, so we're getting a little bit, but not quite what I'm looking for. So I know we actually have some dirt masks. Let's take a look. I wonder if I can make these large. Let's just make it so that it can fit too. All right. Let's check out Dirt 3. Interesting. Okay. Let's blend this Dirt 3 onto this. And let's do add. And let's take it way down. Okay, so it's really bumpy. Too bumpy for me. A lot of levels. I'm gonna get rid of a lot of those bumps. And let's make it not so high. Let's really bring it down. That's better. So now I've got these little clumps. Maybe a little more. Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. Still think we need a little more. Not really want that. What about this guy? Let's see what this guy does. This guy's got a lot of different little patches here. So let's continue our little chain here. Blend. Put this on this guy. And I actually want to add the levels. And just see if I can isolate those light patches. See what that does. Borrow these connections. Wow, interesting. So I'm going to really squish down and darken what I'm getting here. Okay. Interesting. This is turning into like a really cool like overgrown, swampy texture, which is good to know for the future, but not really what I'm looking for right now. Yeah. So maybe what I'll do is I will just take little chunks of this and then send it really further down. It's fascinating. It's also masking a lot of everything else that's going on. So let's... Oh, you know what I could do? Oh my gosh. That's what's going on. I haven't really used any blend modes on this guy. Let's do screen. Where is it? There it is. Interesting. Look at that. Okay. How's that look? Different. The moss is covering a lot of what's going on, so I'm going to adjust a lot of this when I add color. That's the cool thing about Substance Designer, is you can like add so much after the fact. I like these little clumps of like dirt. You can make them more or less pronounced. Just with a slider. Okay, cool. Interesting. Take a sip of coffee. Okay. Let's add some pebbles and rocks. So to start off with that, I'm going to get a shape node and go to paraboloid or paraboloid. Let's scale it down a little bit. I'm going to grab another Perlin noise. I don't think I want to use the same one that I used back here. I'm going to use another one. And I didn't want to connect those. Well, we'll scale them up a little bit. And I'm never sure which one to use, directional blur, directional warp, so... I also want to tile this so I can get a couple variations. That's not doing anything for me. That is, though. And we'll do a slope blur grayscale. Or maybe I can do it by the same thing. Yeah. Okay, that's intense. We could increase the samples or decrease the samples. Okay. I don't know. Yeah, see, that's like too much. And let's try... Yeah. So that's what we have before. That's after, so it's adding some more shapes. And I want to... What kind of rock? I mean, we have all kinds of shapes of rocks here. Some are squished, which we can do with the transform. Okay, we'll create some variations and see what we find. So slope blur. Let's get a crop node going. Oh, and that's a color crop. Crop grayscale. From this guy, we're going to create a couple crops. So we're going to look at this and then move this transform over and make sure we get the whole shape. Nothing but the shape. Cool. That's one. I'm going to duplicate and make another. How's that one look? Nope. It's almost... I think just to be safe, I'm going to make this a bit bigger. Yeah. Same with this one. Cool. Start with 2, and then we'll move on to 3 if we want to add more, I think. Maybe. Yeah. So the next thing I want to do is shape splatter. And I want to let's move things over. I want to take this and make this the background height. And we need to add that there are 2 patterns. Great, so the output pattern 1, output pattern 2, and let's just see what's happening as it happens. Amazing. Okay. Now, I can do pattern rotation random. Do scale random. And now I'll start doing position random. I want to really scatter these around. You know what I'm noticing though is they aren't sharp enough. So I'm going to start reorganizing this stuff. Move this down. Okay. I want to get a levels in between here, and I just want to tighten. Nope, not that one. Which one is it? I want to tighten the edge. That's going to make it more flat. And this is going to... Let's see what we're doing here. Still a bit big. Now this is just going up the gradient. Interesting. Okay. And perhaps they're just not edgy enough. Now I ran into this issue before. I want to work on the height. Conform to background. That's what I want. Okay, now that's a little too much. Play with that a little. There we go. Now, they are a bit smooth. Interesting. Okay. I want to add some disruption to these, like, pebbles. Because right now they're looking like mounds. They're not really looking like pebbles. And part of that has to do with how big they are. Because if we're looking at rocks, like these rocks, they have a clear shape. And the levels just isn't really cutting it in terms of sharpening up. Oh, wait a second. There we go. But now they're very flat, but that was kind of what I was going for. Now I need to do some slope blurring again with a different kind of blur. So let's take in this levels. Let's find a better noise. Let's try clouds 2. Oh, there we go. And I can blur it. Yeah. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere. Mm-hmm. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay. Let's save. So, let's blur this. Too much. I just want to get the edge off. Mm-hmm. And I want to randomize the height a little more. And also the size. Maybe not that much. Now that I've sort of fixed that edge issue, yeah, that looks better. Oh, out of curiosity, my height scale, I bet you, is way off. There we go. Now that looks way better. So this is starting to look more like a bunch of dirt with little pebbles on it. And now I think I want to add a couple more rocks, but just bigger ones. So let's do a little reorganizing here. So we've got our basic ground. That's what's happening here. So let's frame this up. Frame. This is our base, ground, large shapes area. Then we've got small pebbles. Awesome. What's this random node doing here? That's the height output. We'll put that later. Great. Let's just take all these and move them over here. And now I want to do some large pebbles. So I think what I want to do is take this same shape node and I want to do a different kind of directional warp. So I'm going to start with the directional not blur, but warp. Oops. And plug this guy in. And let's find something cool to warp it with. If I recall, this has a really cool roughness, slider. Fascinating. Okay, oh, that's really interesting. Let's play with the disorder. Cool, so it's going to warp it sort of differently. Let's look at the intensity. Change the warp. I think I just want these to be thinner in general. And I just want to see what the slope blur does on top of it. That's cool. Let's do min. I'm going to want to blur this, and I'm going to do a high quality blur because I don't know, because I want to. And let's chain on a levels. Let's really refine this rock shape. I don't like how I lose a lot of my height data when I do this. I need to find a better way to go about this in the future. It's maybe a little too blurry. I'm not sure though. We'll have to look at it in the 3D view. So we've got a lot of really cool rock shapes from that. These are going to be a lot bigger. So I'm going to grab another shape splatter node. There we go. That's what it's called. And we're going to use a crop node again. The reason why I'm so hesitant to say that is because I'm also going to use a transform 2D. So we're going to start with this guy. Looking good. Let's put that into pattern 1. I'm going to do 3. Yeah. 3 patterns this time. Duplicate that. Let's grab this guy, and I'm gonna end up squeezing this guy into like a tall shape. So let's do that now. Transform 2D. I don't want to tile, so I'm gonna go to tiling mode. Absolute no tiling. I'm just curious to see what that's going to look like later on. Okay. So that's pattern 2. And then pattern 3. That looks interesting. Cool. And the background height is going to be this guy. Let's take these outputs and put them there. Interesting. Yeah, so now I've got some really cool looking rocks and pebbles. And where's my thin one? Yeah, that actually came out really cool. We just need to start randomizing this now. So let's do that. Scale random. And we want to bring them up to be a bit bigger. Not that big. I can already tell I'm going to mask off a bunch of these. Let's do that already. Masking. Mask random. Yeah. Ooh, okay. There we go. And now I want this to conform to the background a little, so that it follows the slope of the background now. I'm just not seeing much of a change. Yeah, okay, there we go. There we go. Let's bring out the texture of the rocks there. Very cool. Let's change the rotation random. Bring that all the way up. Now we're getting somewhere. I really like how this is turning out. Got this really cool... that thing. Oh yeah, you know what that is? Yeah, that's from back here. That's this guy. Let's bring that down, because now we turned our height scale up. Cool. Okay, so we got our rocks, we got our pebbles, the big ones and the small ones. Let's take a look at my reference here. Now, I'm not quite sold on these giant rocks here, but I am trying to get stuff like this. Let's take a look around here. Yeah, these are a lot more round. I'm not really going for that. Look at these dirt patches. So what's really taking over all of these images is the moss. And we see we've got some twigs here. We can maybe do something twig related. And you see we've got these lines from all these twigs. That might be interesting to do as well. This image is the one that's really selling me, though, on the kind of stuff I want to do. It's kind of wet, and you see this kind of stuff. Let's see what we can do to add patches of moss to this thing to really transform, because that's kind of what this is doing, and I like that. That's what I'm doing for the whole texture. Okay, so this is what's underneath the moss. Let's start adding moss. But first, let's organize with a frame. Call this large pebbles. We'll move it down. Awesome. Cool, look how organized I am. This is strange. So for moss, I'm wondering if I could just use some of these black and white spots. I wonder if can it be that easy? Let's find out. Now, I don't want to do the whole thing moss. I need to cut out little holes in the masks to make this, patches of moss. Yep, I'm pointing at the screen, but you can't see me pointing because it's a screen capture. Great. So to do that, I'm going to create a couple masks. Let's try clouds. And let's pick a spot to work on my canvas. Oh, goodness. All right. There we go. Now I'm thinking of making this clouds a mask. So I want to sort of sharpen it a bit more. Let's get a levels going. That's like the opposite of what I want. Yeah. There we go. Let's do a blend between these two. Cool. So now we have patches of moss. I think this is going to be moss. We'll find out soon. Let's blend these two together and see what happens. That's the background. That's the foreground. Let's try nope, not multiply. Overlay. Oh man, we'll see what happens. I don't quite know my blend modes yet. Ah, looks really bad. But not too bad. That's interesting. Overlay just might not be the right blending mode. Max lighten is awesome. Okay, I think I've just masked off a little too much of my moss. So this could be, this probably is for like a histogram range node. I bet you that's what it's better at. Fascinating. Okay, yeah, so I'm kind of losing the really nice mask I created with the levels. Oh, it's the, yeah, so my guess is it's the blend mode that's really messing me up here. Okay. So I'm treating this like a mask, so I might as well use it like a mask then. Let's opacity. Oh, that's interesting. Just because it's not light enough. But that is cool. This is how you learn how to make really neat materials by mistakes like this. Look at that. It's like there's bits of the ground eaten away. Awesome. Totally not what I wanted to do, but awesome. So to fix this, I'm just going to take the whole output of this and just raise it up. And I bet you I'm grabbing the wrong one. No, that was right. Yay. Problem is, though, if I take this all the way, that's okay. So that's because it's white, I'm guessing. What if I inverted this? There we go. Now I kind of screwed this up a little bit. My moss is looking really weird. I kind of need it to be crunchier moss. Ooh. This is interesting. And I guess if I look at my reference, like, you sure you have these clumps, but not like as sectioned off as this. Also, I think I need a lot more. So what I'm gonna do with this, I'm going to do a slow blur. I don't know what's going to happen when I do this. We're about to find out. Wow! Okay. Let's look at it. Take down the intensity. A lot. Well, that's fascinating. Okay, so yeah, it broke it up a lot, but okay, it kind of did what I wanted it to do. I really just want to focus on extending this. Okay, so I think clouds was just the wrong one. It might just have to be... Oh, let's try this one. This looks cool. Ooh. It's adding these really cool rings. You can't increase it past 32 samples, I guess. It's fine. So this kind of did what I wanted to do in a weird way. It's adding these really neat, like, almost rings of, like, you know when your drywall has like you have a leak in your ceiling or something, but that's not really what I'm going for. So let's take that one away. Maybe I just need to blur the mask. How interesting. Yeah, it's not a wow, that's cool. That might actually, I might keep that. It's just that my moss looks really strange. Not so bad, it's just too much. We're going to, oh, I could increase the scale and see what that does. Just makes it smaller. Kind of need it bigger because you're going to look at it from here. We just need to clamp the values down of light to dark by bringing up maybe. Boom. That's cool. Okay. Now, now that I look at it, no. It needs to be higher, but then the top needs to be not as top. Does that make sense? This is Substance Designer. You are fiddling until it's the way you want it to look. Maybe I just need to blur it a little, but I don't want to do it too much. Let's, yeah, clamp down these levels so that it's not as high anymore. Okay, that's bringing it down. There's like an invert going on somewhere. Yep, that's like weird. That's why. Okay. Okay. Ooh, that helped. Now we're at a similar level. Boom. Moss. However, that blur. There we go. I feel like I still need to break up that blur. It helps a lot, but it's not. It's too much. Moss just like grows. Now I think I just need little different patches of moss. And yeah. Let's save. Grunge map. I'm not gonna give up on this mask yet. I just need to make it really small. And perhaps I just need to blur this grunge map a little bit. That's interesting. That's growing the moss on. Yeah, I like it. It's adding little bits of moss around. So that's like too noisy. It's like really noisy. Alright, so I like that better. Yeah. I think we could break up the ground a little more. So let's go back to our... Now what I really want to do is fix this blend. 0.1 is what it was at. Yeah, let's add some more bumps to the ground. That's where it was before. Now it's a lot more textury. Which I think is a lot more like what I want here. Okay. And the cool part is, I can adjust this. At any time, I can make it smooth. So it's wet. That'd be cool. And then I can make it dry. Just out of curiosity, what happens if I really bring this up? You get a mess. Okay. But yeah, that looks cool. I think I'm going to take it back now to 0.2. Okay. Looking good. So let's frame up our moss. We'll just call this moss. What I'd like to do next is start adding these little sticks. So you've got, even in this one, well, that's when we have lots of sticks, little, but even we have these little things here. So I want to add those very small. Put both of these kind of next to each other. So to do that, I'm going to bring back my shape node. And I could do a square, but I'm going to try doing another paraboloid and just squeeze it down to like that. And maybe a little bit there. And we're going to warp this guy. And I'm just going to do it by a purlin. I don't know. It's type it purlin noise. Now that looks awesome, but I don't need that right now. Let's bring the scale down. Actually, yeah, bring the scale way down. There we go. Now we're getting something. Let's see kind of what kind of stick we want to make our mollies after. If we're going for these little guys, that's sort of more like that. But if we're going for something like that, it's even way more. I can play with a disorder and change. Oh, we got something there. Yeah. Okay. I don't want it to get wide. Let's stick with that for now. Scale. And yeah. And then maybe one more warp. Shape. We'll do another one of these guys. Boom. So now, I'm using the wrong node. Yeah, I think I am actually. There we go. And I will add a transform so I can move this guy around. And change where it goes. Go this way. Actually, it's only going to go this way because that's the direction the blur is going. We could go this way. We can go this way. So I think I like the idea of maybe a couple different ones. So I'll go this way. I want to duplicate this guy and duplicate this guy. Just have an alternate version as well. Where you go. Perhaps that way. So we have two different kinds of little, whatever these things are, sticks. Cool. So we've got two different patterns. You know what that means. We are going to use the shape splatter node. Pattern number 2. This is pattern 1. This is pattern 2. Let's plug in the height that we've got as our background height. Aha, there they are. I can see them now. Oh, they're here, but they're not in here. That's why. Okay, and then let's redistribute our connections. Boom. Alright, I can see them there. Might be a little too thin. That we can always fix. And my ambient occlusion is like really... I have to work on that. Okay. So let's scale random completely. And then bring up the scale. Crazy position random, as we do. And then this rotation random is what's really going to sell this. Yeah. So now we've got them everywhere. Might be too much. Oh yes, and we're going to conform it to the background. So it looks like it's laying on these rocks. That's cool. Yeah, I would go as far as to say it's too... Well, it's too thin and it's too high, so... Let's bring that height offset down. Oh, now they look like worms. That's cool. That just means we need to tighten up the top and bottom of them. Oh, gross. I like it. All right. Yeah, they look like worms. Okay. So what that means is we're going to take our shape, and before we warp anything, let's put our levels in there. Let's see how that affects it. And they might also be too big, which is why they look like worms. And maybe because they're conforming too much to the surface. It still needs to conform a little bit. And maybe we just need a bunch more. And we'll change the scale. Oh, now that looks more like roots. Now that's cool. Huh. Happy mistakes. Now that we've got this going, let's see here. I really want to turn back my ambient occlusion because it's just going crazy. Okay. Cool. That's cool. We got some sticks. That could also be worms. But I really want them to be smaller, I think. Let's go down with scale again. And we'll just keep them with sticks. It could be that they're too wiggly as well. Like, sticks have a rigidity to them. And that's because I'm blurring it with, or bending it with this, which I just realized I can do a levels and make it harsher. Let's see what we're doing. Now that looks better, I think. Yeah. Now they look more like, more rigid. I want to, oops, adjust my scale random. And the overall scale again to just make these little things. And see how this overall affects my texture. And add more. And add so many more. I think that makes a difference. Okay. So if we look at that, we've got these little things going on now. There's only a couple of them. So maybe I'll just do less. Let's do 20 by 20. Yeah, I like it. Let's save. So here's what our height map looks like. Awesome. I'm really digging it. Now we're going to get to the roughness and the color. Alright, so this is pretty good for the height information and normal and ambient occlusion. Now I want to start working on the color. So we're going to need to break this up into different masks. Luckily, okay, let's first reorganize this. Let's call this Twigs. So we've got the order of things going here. Maybe I'll just bring this down here. And I'm going to definitely need a mask for the ground stuff. I'm going to use this blend as a mask. And to do this, I'm going to borrow straight from my reference. Let's see how well this works. So in my base material node, I'm going to enable the base color input. It's going to turn everything black. I knew it was going to do that. But that is because there is no color now. So I'm going to create a gradient map. I'm going to bring in this map and go into the gradient editor. And I love this tool, Pick Gradient, which I'm going to have to move Substance Designer in order to work. So let's do that. Then I'll undo. Make this small. Okay, gradient editor. Pick gradient. Let's try this range of colors. And then feed it into... We could probably move this stuff over now. Feed this into the base color input. Boom. Okay. Now I can already tell this is a bit too shiny, so the roughness needs some adjustment. That's more rough. That's less rough. Okay. Maybe that's too much. Still very shiny. Not really sure what's going on there. But, okay. Now that looks really good from back here. Let me try a couple variations of it though. It's still a little dark. I've got a lot of color over here. Let's try that. Gradient editor. Pick gradient. Let's try this. Ah, look at that. It's like, ooh. Wow, that's very different. No. But that does look a bit more like a... What's the word I'm looking for? Some sort of volcanic or spring, some hot springs. Let's pick gradient. I want something a little more. Yeah, No. Let's continue. Okay, now we're a little too bright and too red. So maybe going back over here was a good idea. This area. Or this area. That's green. Oh, that looks cool though. Okay. That's pretty much me this whole time is gonna be, oh that's cool. Oh, that's cool. Okay. So let's start here. Because this is just for the dirt, and it's still way too shiny, so I'm gonna have to just put my foot down and say not so shiny anymore. I lose so much light though. So I'm gonna go back and forth. I'm gonna dial this up just a tiny bit. Okay, let's see how that goes. For now. Okay, so that was the easy part. Now, what we need to do is add all of these different pieces. So we've got the moss. The moss is probably the second easiest part. And we have a mask for that already. So that's good. So let's create another gradient map. Let's put this in. And let's see what kind of gradient we can get from the moss in this image. And let's blend the two together. So this should be the background, this should be the foreground, and this is the opacity. Put that in there. Interesting. So we've got like some dirt and moss going on, but I think I want more moss because you see this gradient map has a lot of brown in it. So let's do that again. It's brighter moss. Let's check this out. Okay. Coming together. I think I want it a little darker, so let's find a darker variation. That's too dark. It's getting there. I kind of want to get rid of these black keys, or just drag up. There we go. Yeah. And let's make it a little more. I'm just going to be playing with this roughness value all day. That looked a lot more wet. Oh, wait, wrong one. Okay. Ah! I know what the issue is with the roughness. We're going to tackle some roughness by using a curvature smooth node. And we're going to take our normal information and we're going to plug it into the roughness. Boom. Boom. Now that's going to really affect what's going on here. I wonder what happens if I invert. I like that better. I think not sure. I think I like this better. The mud's going to be shinier. And I think I need to add some more dark colors into the ground. So let's get this gradient map again. Gradient editor. Let's find some dark colors as well. That's greener. It's a different feel. It's too dark. Wow. So now it's time to start manually editing keys. Just want to make things a little bit more on the dark side. There we go. Now we're adding some more contrast in. Yeah. Okay, and that's what it looks like now. Okay, color makes such a difference, doesn't it? So now the moss was easy to add because that was also... Now I need to start doing the twigs and the rocks. So the pebbles. The pebbles use the shape splatter nodes. Let's do some organizing here. We've got all of our inputs. This is our color section. This is our input section. We're just going to move those over. Great. Let's go back to full screen here. I need to get a shape splatter to mask. Let me try that one as well. That might just be all I need. Okay, let's try that one first, because I think that's all I really need. Then blend. And I'm going to use this as the mask opacity and just input this height into it. Yeah, so now all I have are the rocks. Or the pebbles. And now I can use a gradient map. Now let's make this smaller again. Look at some of these pebbles. I'm going to look at some of my other... Yeah. Do I want... I mean, I really kind of modeled it after this one, didn't I? So let's keep that cast, that pink cast. Pick gradient. Okay, and I also need to put this in my view. So let's add a blend. Blend. Bottom. Top. There we go. Okay, now our rocks are starting to have some color. How do those look? They are popping out. This is our base. We're adding our moss. Then we're adding our rocks. Just trying to organize a little bit. Okay, So we've got the big ones. Let me try a different one. No, those are the small ones. Those are green rocks. Not bright enough. Much pinker. I probably should have gone with what I had. Let's see. Yeah, let's go with those for now. And now let's do the big ones. So I do the same thing. I will take a shape splatter to mask. That's such a useful node. And grab the big ones. Boom. And we'll blend. Use this as a back opacity. And take the height. Excellent. So we will add a gradient map, but let me add the gradient map, then add the blend mode node. Okay. Need to remember what I did here. And we'll put the gradient map in the foreground. We will put the previous height in the background, and then we'll put this in the mask. Why I didn't like that? Because we want this one instead. There we go. Okay. So now we have big rocks that are black and white. Let's find a few of those. Let's make them like a really random color. Like, let's make them blue. Okay. Foreground. And now I'll put this in the base color. There we go. Okay. Now blue's interesting contrast, but I don't think I'm going to do that. So go to the gradient editor, find another variation of these rock colors. I do want something that's more on the gray side of things. I don't want to make them pink. But I like the idea of having like a blue-gray. Maybe blue was a good idea. Because look at this. You've got kind of like this bluish-gray tint on this picture. So this is a little more stylized. Better yet, I have a picture. Let's just do that. Okay. Let's try another one. Yeah. Okay. And look at that. Now we have our color. It's looking really good. The only thing I'm not sold on yet is my roughness map. So I'm going to add a levels and just see what happens with this guy. So this is going to make it overall less rough. Is that okay? Let me bring this back. of that in. This is going to make it more shiny. Okay, don't want that. This is going to bring the contrast up. Yeah. Okay. Alrighty, I think I'll stick with this for now. But I have that there in case I need it. So let's reorganize again. Let's frame it up. We'll call this color or albedo, but we'll just call it color for now. And there we have our maps. So to finish this off, let's save. So to finish this off, let's just redistribute these outputs into the proper outputs. And you can see we've already got tons of outputs here. Since I already got it the way I like it here, let's just remap this. If I take metallic all the way down, what happens? Interesting. All the way up. And that's what gives it this kind of shininess. Oh, interesting. I lose a lot of my color that way. But my height looks better. Alright, let's feed in these maps. So, base color, normal, roughness, metallic, height. We're missing our AO, so let's output. So this is ambient occlusion. So identifier. Ambient occlusion. Ambient occlusion. We'll put it in material. All right, I think I did that right. Did I spell occlusion right? Yeah, good. And yeah, that's going into the ambient occlusion spot. Boom. And now let's just view outputs in 3D. This shouldn't change anything. Good, it doesn't. And there we have it. We have our material. Let's view it on a sphere. That's always fun. Still very shiny. I think that has something to do with, let's see, my metallic value. That's going to bring it back. Yeah. No metallic here. No metals. Now you'll notice it's a bit stretched on the sphere. That's because of the UVs. So let's put this on a high resolution plane. You can get it on more high resolution geometry. Okay, it's only going to be viewed from about here. We got our pebbles. Let's adjust the light. Light makes all the difference here. Oh, you know what I didn't do? Let's color the sticks. So let's take another shape splatter to mask. Let's get the data. And let's get the shading of that. So instead of that, let's put this in there. And let's get that. Cool. So now I got all these little guys. Now let's do gradient map. And what was a good example of a stick? We had a couple. That's like a kind of like a stick. That's a good one. So use that for now, but then we'll just blend it all together with everything else. So blend. Put that there. We'll put that there. And we'll put this here. So let's look at these sticks. Do they have any color? Hard to say. Now they do. So maybe we'll do something like this color. Mm-hmm. And we'll do the same for the other one as well. Because we have... Oh no, we did 2 patterns. Okay, there we go. Now we've got our color. Let's save. We can look at this on all kinds of... That's what we had it on before. This is always fun. Up there's wild. But this looks cool. Yeah. That's a better sphere. 2 tiles. Kind of looks like a planet now. Yeah, very proud of this. Well, there you go, guys. And girls. We'll take a look at the whole graph. It always looks more complicated from this angle. But this is the... Let's get that total... Yep. That's the final albedo map. Ooh. Okay, so there's our final graph. This is our final albedo / color map. We can look at the final height as well. That's our final height map. It looks very strange from this angle. But yeah, it's got everything in it. It just goes to show that like even the smallest detail makes such a big difference. So let's frame that up. Yep, you got the roughness map. Wow, that looks ridiculous. And there you go. Looking forward to using this in my next tutorial. But thank you all so much for watching. Actually, I'll probably do an outro video.
Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to leave a like, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you get notified when I post new videos. There's plenty more videos coming out in the future. I've got full-length tutorials that are a little bit different than this format, but are designed to teach new techniques, and I've got more Watch Me Work videos coming as well, where I go and do exactly the same thing that you've seen here. Now, I'm constantly working on this process of recording this kind of video because I know sometimes it can get a little monotonous, it can get a little long, but if you really enjoyed this video or have any comments and want to help improve videos like these, please leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. All right, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.